Welcome to the CU 2.0 podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the CU 2.0 podcast with big new ideas about credit unions and conversations about innovative technology with credit union and fintech leaders. This podcast is brought to you by Quillo, the real-time loan syndication network for credit unions, and by your host, longtime credit union and financial technology journalist Robert McGarvey. And now, the CU 2.0 podcast with Robert McGarvey.
3 years ago, Tropical Financial Credit Union, a $1 billion South Florida institution, signed on as a sponsor of the Florida Panthers. And then magic happened. Because the Panthers, they're in the National Hockey League, won the Stanley Cup in 2024 and won again in 2025. That's the equivalent of winning the World Series in baseball or the Super Bowl in football. And doing it twice in a row, that's something special. Definitely the Panthers now are the darlings of South Florida because everybody loves a winner. On the show is Marylen Yiris, Vice President of Marketing at Tropical Financial. And she tells how the credit union partnered with the Panthers and the benefits she believes the credit union has gotten from the arrangement. Note, new member activations are one metric she uses in assessing the value of the relationship. Understand, too, Tropical Financial is enthusiastic about more sports sponsorships. It now is inked a sponsorship with Fort Lauderdale United FC, a women's soccer team that competes in a new professional league. And Yiris indicates that Tropical Financial is open to exploring still more sponsorship deals with sports teams. Earlier this year, regular listeners will remember the CU 2.0 podcast hosted Christine Blake, CEO of Cardinal Credit Union in Ohio, which has a sponsorship deal with the Cleveland Browns. It's hard to get noticed in today's cluttered mediascape, and the credit unions that have sponsorships say they're working in elevating brand awareness. Listen up. You've been with this credit union for almost 30 years.
I have been with this credit union almost 30 years, a very long time.
So you started when you were, 7?
Exactly. Thank you for that.
So we're going to talk about the credit. The credit union is approximately $1 billion in assets, right?
That's correct.
Let's talk about these sports partnerships you have. How many do you have?
So we currently have 2. We have the Florida Panthers partnership, which we're on our 3rd season. We're about to start our 3rd season with them. And we signed on for the first time with the local Fort Lauderdale professional women's soccer team called the Fort Lauderdale UTD. So we have 2 of them.
Tell me a bit more about this professional women's soccer team. This is a new entity, right?
They are on their 2nd year. I am now quickly becoming a soccer fan, as a lot of South Florida folks are. So their first season, they went all the way to finals and ended up in 2nd place. And that was their first year last year. So the reason we looked at them is that we went to one of their games. They invited us to one of their games, and I was just surprised to see how well put together this team was for a first-year team. And I'm talking about not just the fact that they had a really nice lineup of sponsors, but that they had like a stadium pretty full of fans with like their gear on and everything. So they definitely have a following, and they definitely have support.
How big a stadium?
So it's called the Bank Card Field at Nova University here in Fort Lauderdale.
So we're not talking like a 50,000 seat.
No, not 50,000 seats,
okay.
But it's a stadium. It's a university stadium. So it's sizable, but it's not a 50,000 seat stadium.
And how many teams are in this soccer league?
Oh, that's a good question. We had to look that out. 24.
Wow. So that's basically throughout the country, I imagine. What's the exact nature of your relationship with that team? Your sponsorship can vary from everything to nothing.
So we've signed on as sponsors, and we are the official credit union of the soccer team. And so they won't be signing on any other credit unions to be sponsors. So we're, in that sense, it's just us, exclusive. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to have signage in the stadium. So we're showing our logo on the LED And we're actually, one of our favorite things to do is our activations. So we'll be on site for their home games with our table, and we'll be doing giveaways and talking about what the credit union does in the community and the services that we offer. They do something really special, which is that they have like a partners do giveaways throughout the game. So the fans kind of like scan a QR code that comes out on the screen. And that obviously allows us to gather some contact information for some of the soccer fans, and we're able to then send them some information on what the credit union does and how we're able to assist them. One of the other special things is that the owner of the soccer team owns an local air conditioning company. So they're allowing us to go in and talk to not only the soccer team's employees and the soccer team's players, but also all Cool Air's employees as well. So we're able to establish some relationships there as well.
And that's a multi-store air conditioning company?
Yes. And then obviously they're collaborating with us on social media posts, and we're, promoting the soccer team on our social media and just making sure that our members know about the upcoming games and how the soccer team is doing. And so the season just launched about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, actually. So if you look on our social media, you'll see us supporting their soccer team, and there's obviously we're on their website. So there's just, some collaboration so that our brand and theirs is being promoted in the local community.
Now, what's the relationship with the Florida Panthers?
So the Florida Panthers, they're really good at partnerships like that. The Florida Panthers team is, they're definitely doing a really good job with partners. They have tons of partners. And so we're on our third year. And so what that allows us to do is we have several different ways where our brand is promoted in conjunction with the Panthers brand. So they have like what they call like the starting lineup, where every time that they have a game, they send out who the starting lineup is going to be, and that's sponsored by Tropical Financial. So you'll see our logo on that, as well as in the game on the leaderboard, you'll see our us on there as well. We have our branding on their ice box, so you get to see like our branding there, and when there's national games, the announcers will sit in that box, so you'll see our brand kind of behind them as they're on national TV as well. And then they have us on their website. We're able to actually take over their homepage of the website a few times during the season. We have a ticket bank, so we're able to get our employees involved, which is really fun. So there's lots of new Panthers fans on the Tropical team as well. We're in the third year now, and they've done really well, as you know. So there's way more Panther and hockey fans than there used to be when we started this. We're able to have a suite night, so we're able to do like a team building, and we've typically used it for our employees, but we're able to use it for some of our clients as well, which we will do in the future. And then one of the really special things that we do is we have a hero campaign that launched last year in February. So we open up nominations for people to nominate a local hero, and we received like hundreds and hundreds of nominations, and we were able to select one and honor them at the Panthers game. Last year it was at the last game, and so we were able to award them some money, and we were also able to donate money to a charity of their choice, and that was really special. That was very nice.
Now, the Florida Panthers, if I'm right, is an NHL team, a National Hockey League team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Were you, and they won the Stanley Cup, I think, this year or last year.
Both.
Which is, that's the equivalent of winning the World Series to people who don't follow hockey. And in some parts of the country, the Stanley Cup is a really big deal.
It sure is.
Is it a big deal in Florida? I mean, you don't have any ice. The only ice you get is in a 7-Eleven when you buy a Slurpee.
Good point. I have to say, that's one of the things that the Panthers have. It was one of their goals, and they've done a really good job. One of the things that makes South Florida kind of special is that we have a lot of transplants from up north where hockey has been really big. So we had that kind of going towards theirs and our advantage. But South Florida is typically a community where when our teams are winning, we're all on board. So that's happened with the Panthers for the last couple of years. And so I have to say, if you drive around in South Florida, you will see like our license plate tags now starting to reflect the Florida Panthers. You'll see some homes flying Florida Panther flags as well. So I have to say they are doing a very good job in making South Florida Panther fans. Yep.
Now, in hockey, they're kind of like the Los Angeles Dodgers or the New York Yankees right now. It's
Yeah. Yeah, it's very fun. And so what they're doing is like last year they sponsored was called the Cats Cup, and it was actually like street hockey, like a street hockey competition. And so you get to see like there's lots of little kids that are taking on hockey as the sport versus baseball or the traditional football. So it's pretty cool.
Are there any hockey rinks like in high schools or um, community centers? Or
So there's a hockey rink in Fort Lauderdale that's attached
okay,
to the War Memorial. It's a health.
okay, so a kid could theoretically play a little hockey.
And it's nice because we have our Tropical Financial is obviously we have our logo on that rink as well. So it's not just like the Panthers fans, but also like the parents of kids that are playing hockey, kids that are playing hockey that are getting to be familiarized with our brand, which isn't an opportunity we had before this partnership. So that's really nice.
So how did the partnership with the Panthers come together? I mean, what was the origin of the idea? Who said, "Hey, maybe we should become a sponsor of the Florida Panthers"?
So
And
back in the day,
and a lot, and if you're like me, say the Florida what?
yeah. So back in the day, they approached us. I think that one of the things they were trying to do is build local partnerships, and they approached us, and our CEO happened to be a hockey fan and has had.
That's that's a really this is a peculiar wrinkle. I wouldn't have predicted that.
Yeah, there's a hockey background there, so there was immediate interest, and we gave it a try, and it's just been fantastic. I have to share like one of the benefits for us is that we're a credit union and we've been around since 1935. We've been around a long time, and we've always tried to do stuff in the community, like be part of local walks, go to community events and try to get our name out. But it's hard to do. It's been very hard to do. And we've partnered with the Panthers, and obviously the Panthers are very popular right now. So we are able to have like our logo alongside of theirs when we're out doing events and when we're out doing sales calls and we're just out and about in the community. And there's so much conversation that started now where it was more difficult before because they see the Panthers logo along with ours and they're like, hey, what do you guys have to do with the Panthers? And we're able to explain like we're the official credit union of the Florida Panthers. And that has started and helped us start so many conversations. I have to say that just that alone has been fantastic for us.
Now, you're as a $1 billion credit union, you're certainly not small, but Florida has some really big credit unions. Many multiples bigger than $1 billion. And so has this given you more visibility in that universe with these really big credit unions?
100%. I mean, I think having that logo along with ours, like I said, it sparks conversation. It kind of validates our brand as well because they're a national, well-known brand, and to have Tropical Financial associated with that has given us that. It has sort of validated us as well, so that makes people feel more comfortable. They know that we're associated with a brand like the Panthers has helped us as well. So yeah, it's been fantastic for us.
What was the process of getting that approved? Did this go up to the board? Was this a board level decision?
We definitely took it to the board. We like to get the board's buy-in and make sure that they're on board with, especially a substantial investment like this one. And they loved the idea. They were behind it all the way. So it's been great.
And I think it's actually fine if you're like me and you say, "What the heck is a Florida Panther?" Because at least it's gotten my attention. Yeah, it's like what is this?
Sure. Well, if you're in South Florida in the past 2 years, you've heard about the Panthers. So because they've gone beyond just being a hockey team. They're local heroes right now. Like if you've had the chance to do their parade, their victory parade, I was so impressed by that because the hockey players they got off the floats and they shook hands with the fans, and there're just so many. It looked like ants crawling into the parade area. Fans coming out to see them because they've just really done a good job of being part of the community, and just being like relatable and down to earth and approachable. And so I think they've kind of won South Florida's heart in that sense. And so having our brand aligned with that has just been so easy for us and just such an easy fit because it's what we try to do at Tropical as well. Like we try to keep that local flavor. We're a community credit union, and we try to stay grounded in our community. We have our staff is here local as well, so that's one of the benefits of Tropical Financial and the community is that we're able to have local decision makers looking at your loan application or at your mortgage application. And so I think the Panthers have kind of taken that same homegrown community feel. So it's just been a really good fit for us.
And how do you measure? What's the metric that you say, okay, this is a successful relationship?
Yeah, that's always tricky. As a marketer, that's always been the hard part of the job is to kind of measure like what the things that you do for branding and the things that you do in the community and like put actual numbers behind it. But we have been tracking like visits to our website that come from the Panthers website. We are able to do like those on-site activations. And so we have like giveaways that we do where people can scan a QR code. And so we're able to see like how many people are stopping to talk to us at the games, not opportunities that we've had before. We've been invited to events that we hadn't normally been invited to. So it's just like, if you just look at how many more times people have been exposed to our brand, not including like having our logo in the arena and all the fans that go to the game seeing our logo, and every time that our logo has come out on national television, we've been able to just see like how much more exposure people have had to our brand. So we've been looking at that. We've been looking at visits to the website. We've been looking at new members that have signed on through the Panthers landing page. So we've been able to look at all those. It doesn't always result in tens of thousands, but we definitely have, like I said, started so many more conversations than we had been able to start before because our brand is affiliated with there. So it's been really cool.
So are you looking primarily for new member activation or what?
So we are looking for new members, absolutely. So we're looking to, spread the word of what Tropical can do and increase our membership. Mm-hmm. Every financial institution is, right?
Every credit union says they need new members.
Yeah.
Are they doing much to make that happen? Not really. And even if they're doing something, it's often a fairly tough slog. Now, what's your field of membership?
So we're Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. And then we have a few other zip codes and counties on the west side of Florida, throughout Florida. But
so it's a community charter. There's no other particular requirement.
Yes, it is. Correct.
Cool. That's good. That's Now, did you go? There was a conference for credit unions sponsoring sports teams in San Francisco like 6 months ago. Did you go to that?
No, I did not go to that. Did you?
No, I didn't. But I interviewed one of the organizers, a woman, CEO of Cardinal Credit Union, if I remember correctly, in Ohio, which sponsors the Cleveland Browns, if my memory is right.
Okay.
And so at that point, I got interested in this growing number of credit unions with sports relationships. It's a shame you didn't even know about the damn thing. It's fine if you didn't go to it. Just poor marketing on their part.
Yeah. But that's very interesting, and I think it's good that other credit unions are kind of catching on. It's smart. I think it's a really smart idea to just align ourselves with national brands that just bring credibility to our brand, that allow us to have conversations we wouldn't otherwise have. These teams are doing a really good job of staying involved in community things, and so that allows us to partner along on something that we're already doing. Like that's our mission, is to help people and to help our members, and the sports teams they're catching on to that as well. And it's just like a natural, really good partnership, I think, on both ends, because like, for example, the Panthers are trying to break into the South Florida market. So, we have 65,000 members, and we're also doing, digital ads and ads trying to attract new members. And that dual logo is also spreading their brand as well. Obviously, they're way bigger than us, but we're helping each other, which I think is fantastic.
And what do employees think when they go to those games?
So employees, that's a really good question. So employees started off kind of like me and kind of like you, not knowing who the Panthers were or a lot about hockey because we're South Florida. We knew our Miami Dolphins, we knew our Miami Marlins, we're definitely Heat fans here, but the Panthers was new. So they started off kind of saying, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we, spending this kind of money? But then as they're out and about doing their, their sales initiatives and participating in community events, they themselves, even our HR team, as they're recruiting for new employees, they themselves experience the types of conversations that they were able to have, which they weren't able to have before because people were curious about, why the Panthers logo was alongside of ours. And so that I think has made the employees understand the reason that we're looking into these sports partnerships is to help us, propagate our brand and just have more opportunities to spread the word of what we do in the South Florida community. And so they've quickly not just become Panthers fans as the rest of South Florida, but become supporters of what we're doing with the sports partnerships because they understand that what we're doing is just trying to just hype up our brand and talk about who we are with people that we otherwise wouldn't have had conversations. So that's really cool.
I'm going to ask you the dumbest question I've ever asked during this show, and there's almost 500 episodes. So this is the single dumbest one. Is it cold inside a hockey stadium?
It is. It's cold inside a hockey stadium. That's a really cool question because at the first...
Well, do you have a winter coat?
So it's not that cold, but the first time I went to an activation, I was definitely underdressed. I had like a jersey on, but now when I go, I have an undershirt, a jersey, and a scarf, and sometimes I do take a hat because it does get cold in there. Not winter cold, but definitely cold. That's a good question.
Well, there's ice there, so I figure if the ice is melting, these guys aren't going to skate around on it.
It is cold. And in South Florida, you have to drive up and make sure you're layered because you will melt from the parking lot to the arena. But then once you get inside the arena, you need your gear. So yes, that's a good question.
Okay, well, I guess it wasn't that dumb a question.
No,
obviously, I've been to football games, baseball games, things like that. I've never been, and oftentimes hockey used to be played inside things that were also serving other purposes, and they just figured out a way to put ice down.
No, and our arena's chilly. It's cold in there.
Okay, now that's yeah. I'm trying to figure. Yeah, I live in Phoenix, and a lot of people don't have a winter coat. If you said you need a winter coat, they say I ain't going.
Well, same here in South Florida. I'm a Miami girl, so when it's like below 75, I'm ready for a sweater. I'm ready to put a sweater on. So maybe we should also not gauge this entirely by me, but I will say I see most fans in there have their little beanies on, and they have scarves on, and they have sweaters on. So it's chilly.
Well, it is a psychological thing. If you're looking out there seeing like a sheet of ice, you say, it must be cold in here.
Yeah. I will say on a personal note, my kids went with us to a couple of the games. And one of the things they said they liked is that it was nice and cold in there. Because when you go to a Dolphins game or when you go to a Marlins game, it's hot. It's really hot. So it was nice to go to a sporting event where, you weren't just exhausted from just the heat.
That's true. So are you looking for more sponsorships?
Definitely open to more opportunities. If it makes sense and if it's in the communities that we serve, the reputation and the mission of the sports teams matches ours, we're definitely open to more opportunities.
Because I'm sure all the universities around there would love to have a sponsorship with a credit union.
Yeah, we're open to more opportunities. It's been fun for us. It's something that has engaged members, potential members, employees. So why not?
Now, has the board asked for, okay, this is the second or third year of your relationship with the Panthers. Give me some numbers that show that this is working.
The board is interested in the numbers, but they've been supportive. They also see what it's done for our brand, and they've also been approached and asked about, our brand aligned with the Panthers brand. So they haven't asked us for how many members did you open at a Panthers game or how many new accounts have you opened because of the Panthers? They haven't done that, but they have asked us to see metrics as it relates to like how many visitors are we getting to our page from the Panthers page, or how many people have we collected emails for at the Panthers games. And they have asked for metrics like that, but they haven't held us to goals as it relates to like new accounts or new members. We're not there. They're very supportive and they understand what we're trying to do, which is very nice. It's very nice to have the board support like that.
I'll tell you, you'll know this is really working when you go to an event, any kind of event, social business, and you introduce yourself and say you work for this credit union. And the person says, can you get me tickets to the Panthers game? Then you know it's really been successful. Because people do it. Can you get me tickets to this Dodgers game? Okay.
Yeah, they know you're really. I will say, like we have had some employees that came to work for us because they saw us at a Panthers game. And so it's
that's fascinating.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
That is that. So Does this make you seem bigger than a little credit union? Not that you're a little credit union, but by any means. But
I do think it does make us look bigger. I mean, we're affiliated with a national brand. So I do think that has definitely provided some validation to our brand. We've been around since 1935. We've been trying to spread our name in the community this whole time. Credit unions as a whole have tried to like come together and do like collaborative type of ad campaigns to just kind of spread the word on what the credit union industry does and who we are and so forth. And we've always had a very hard time breaking through, especially in like, larger markets like South Florida. It's been a very challenging thing to break through. But I have to say, like, nothing has worked like these sports partnerships has worked for us. It's been really good. The soccer one we have high hopes for as well. It's a professional women's team, but ever since Inter Miami and Messi, South Florida is becoming a soccer town as well. So to have an affiliation with a soccer team has already started creating conversations, and a lot of times those conversations are around: are you going to, be an Inter Miami sponsor? What are you doing with Messi? The World Cup is coming next year. So, but again, there are conversations that we would otherwise have had if we didn't have, a soccer team that we were aligned with. So it's very interesting.
yeah, you're right. I'm glad you mentioned the location. It's all around the country. There's more interest in soccer than really there'd ever been in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because a lot of parents, etc., are concerned about their kids being injured playing football, which is a valid concern.
Sure.
It's and soccer seems a safer thing. But South Florida, with South America just down the street,
Mm-hmm.
and those folks are just insane for soccer.
Yeah.
So
We obviously have a large Hispanic community, and they do love their soccer. Soccer is a religion for a lot of South Floridians. So
you look at the World Cup. I mean, man, these nations just become so the entire nation of Argentina is like obsessed with the World Cup. I mean, it's like nothing else happens during the game.
they love their Messi, and I mean, I follow Messi, and he's one of those players that's also like so down to earth and always looking to do good in the community. And so when you align yourself with teams like that and people like that and sports where that tends to be like kind of what they do, it's a really good fit for credit unions, because that's what we do as well, is we look to do good in the community. So it's just good fits.
So this raises your visibility. You seem bigger than you are. I have to admit, the Stanley Cup winner is kind of cool once you realize that there's a Stanley Cup winner. I was impressed by that.
And twice back to back.
Yeah, I remember when the Boston Bruins, I lived in Boston at that time, would win it every year. But that was a big deal in Boston. It really was. The players were city heroes. I mean, everybody knew Bobby Orr and things like that. It's like these were before your time. But it's like, wow, these were cool people.
Same thing's happening with the Panthers players. Like, I think a lot of South Floridians now know the names of the Florida Panthers. Where before we didn't even know Panthers, now we know Panthers and we know the players' names. Like I said, I was so impressed at their victory parade. When I looked up, because we had a booth there, and so we were there very early, and we saw the crowd starting to gather from very early in the morning, and we got very busy. And there was a point in the day where I looked up, and it looked like ants just crawling in from every different direction of just fans getting into the parade, and it was just something I had never experienced. The entire street, it was on the beach, so they had closed down the A1A, and the entire street was just packed. Not even standing room. It was just packed with people, and it was just one of those events where there were no fights, there was no drama. It was just really good fun. The players felt safe enough where they were getting off of the parade floats and shaking hands with the fans and taking drinks from the fans, and it was just such a good time and such a good feeling, community event, and that's, I think, something that South Florida needed, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're embracing them. Typically, it's just because they're winning, because I will say that's what the South Florida fan base is, right? If you're winning, we love you, and if you're not winning, we kind of forget about you. But this time, I think they've done such a really good job in connecting with the community that I think, that the fanship has stuck. Like, we're now also hockey fans. where we were not before. So I think the Panthers have done a fantastic job in creating that environment with the team that they've built.
Now that's an important point you're raising. Just creating a city full of hockey fans when before there were none is interesting.
Like you said, there's no ice here, and all of a sudden now we're hockey fans. So
right, if you grew up in Massachusetts, which I did not, but if you did, as a kid, you probably played hockey on ice, not just street hockey. In South Florida, you probably have never even seen a hockey stick in person. It's
so
but now kids are probably getting hockey sticks, even if they don't know where to use them.
They sure are. So one of the things I noticed when I first started going to the Panthers games, and now I'm going, back before we had the sponsorship, but I did get to go to a couple of games, and I did notice that there were probably more fans wearing the other team's jersey than there were fans wearing the Panthers jersey, right? So fast forward to the last year or two, and it's not that way anymore. Like you go to the games, and there's always going to be some fans from the other team, but it is it's an arena full of Panthers. So you just kind of see the transition. And so one of the things that I thought was a great opportunity is that a lot of those fans were from the teams up north, like the original teams, like you said, up northeast and Michigan and so forth. And those are people that have moved into South Florida, they need a place to bank, and we would like to have conversations with them. So again, that was an opportunity we saw where we have, a lot of people migrating to South Florida. And it was just a great way to position ourselves to be able to have those conversations with them as they're, making the move and maybe still fans of their original hockey team, but slowly becoming fans of the Panthers. And it just gave us some visibility to people that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to have conversations with. So again, it doesn't end. All the opportunities that we've had because of these partnerships.
So if you could get another sports team, what would you want? What kind of sport? Not necessarily the team.
I think soccer is something I'd like to continue exploring. The World Cup is coming next year, and that's going to be a soccer frenzy for all year. So I would like to continue exploring soccer. But I grew up watching baseball and football, so that will always be fun for me as well.
Well, NFL football is probably a heck of a lot more expensive than NHL hockey to be a sponsor, I'm guessing. Everything about any NFL football is expensive.
Yeah, so. Even the hockey sponsorships they're not cheap. They're an investment. Worth it, but they're an investment. So yeah, I agree that NFL is probably up there as well. But there's a huge fan base for the Miami Dolphins here in South Florida. Win or lose, we love our Dolphins. They break our heart, but we still love them.
Do you feel that way about the University of Miami?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of UM fans down here. It was a big weekend. They won against Notre Dame.
They won by like 2 points or something. It was a really close game.
Yeah, but it was a good game. I didn't get to go to the game. I watched the game from home, but I had friends that went to the game, and the tailgate was, I heard, fantastic. Full from end to end, people partying, and after the game was just as much fun because they won, obviously. But everybody that I know was either at the game or watching the game. So yeah, UM is also a good opportunity.
Wow. So with the two teams that you have deals with, are these 1-year deals?
So the Panthers was a 3-year deal. And with the soccer team, they're a startup, so it is a year-by-year thing. So let's see how it goes.
And so when's your Panthers deal up?
This would be the third year.
Third year. Yeah, that's what I was guessing.
Yeah, the season starts in October, and it'll be our third season.
And would you hope to renew that if the terms were acceptable?
Easy answer, yes.
Oh, well, you've become like an excited hockey fan.
And because of the hockey, obviously I'm loving the hockey, but also because that organization, I mean, they're so well put together. We've learned a lot from them through the partnership. Their marketing team is they do some amazing things. Or we've learned like from them on their social media strategy and their strategies for activation, and they've been very open in sharing with us. And so we've just learned a lot. So all around, I 100% would love to continue that partnership.
I mean, can you envision that you put out a credit card that was somehow co-branded with the Panthers?
That would be so much fun. Yeah,
Well, you can talk to them. It does happen in the world of credit unions.
sure.
So,
That's a great idea. I like that. Definitely something to ask about, right? Everything. Panthers, all things Panthers.
well, you're a surprisingly big hockey fan for a South Florida person.
Well, if you've been to the games, it's very easy to love them. So they're entertaining. I'm a fan like any other fan. Like when the fights break out and when they run into the glass, and like there's drama at those games. It's very entertaining and it's a lot of fun. But then to get to know the team and to see what just what they do in the community and how approachable they are, and it's just they're easy to love. You just become a fan. You really do.
So they still have fights in NHL hockey. I know they were trying to clean that up because there was a time many years ago, 20, 30 years ago, when there was very little playing hockey. It was mainly fighting. It was,
I wasn't a hockey fan back then, but I have to, and you don't want anybody to get hurt or anything like that. But these guys just come into play with so much energy that I can't imagine how they don't like get into fights. They're like it's all heart on the ice, so I can see why it happened.
now, how many hockey games do you plan to go to this year personally?
Well, I'm working at least 5 of them. So they have how many home games? They have quite a few home games. I'm going to be at all the ones it can be at.
And when you're working, what does that mean?
So we do the activations. So what we do is we set up a table. So as the fans come in, we have a table and we have giveaways of cowbells and some rally towels, and so we're talking to people about our services as well. So once the game starts, we take our table down and then we attend the game as fans, the people that are the employees that are working the event. So that's what we call activation. Is actually being on site with giveaways and talking to the fans as they're coming into the game.
So what are you personally doing at those sessions?
Talking to fans. So we set up a table and we have a bunch of giveaways, and so people will come by and they'll want to have to,
So you'll sit at the table.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Okay.
sit. It's impossible to sit. There's too much energy. There's no sitting there. So I'm typically like in front of the table, just handing out giveaways and talking to the fans as they walk in.
Well, that puts you, obviously, you're having face-to-face contact with members and prospective members.
Mm-hmm.
Have you learned anything?
Oh, yeah. We've learned, well, first of all, we've learned that some of our members are Panthers fans, because that's always like the best part is when you have one of our members say, hey, you're my credit union. And so we always have like some special gifts behind the table for those fans that are members. We've learned that some people have heard of Tropical Financial because they've seen us at events, or because the company that they work for is one of our partner companies. So, we have learned that we're more well known than we thought we were. But we've also learned, more about the people in the community and their needs. And like they stop and they talk to us and they're like, man, I'm trying to get a mortgage, but I wasn't able to get approved. So we're able to get some more information on what people are looking for and what type of checking accounts they're looking for, what type of features they're looking for their accounts to have. And that's just from conversations with people that are not necessarily our members yet. And just being able to learn like what it is that they're looking for from a financial institution. So it's been good.
Do you still run into people who say, geez, I'd like to join a credit union, but I can't because I don't work at XYZ company or whatever? I mean, that used to be a pretty common thing.
It used to be. We don't run into that as much anymore. I think we're just having to. Yeah, I agree. We're really just having to explain, what a credit union is, and so from there, like we're able to educate people on the fact that we're a credit union that's open to the community. It doesn't come up as much from when back in the day when we were seg-based, because I've been around that long. Where people that knew of a credit union affiliated or associated a credit union with having to work at a specific place, it's not that way. I don't find.
I think it's cool that you're doing that, because I think a lot of senior executives in credit unions don't have much face-to-face contact with the street, if you will. What are people on the street thinking about credit unions?
That's the best part. That's the best part. I don't I wouldn't want to be just locked in an office. I want to be out there seeing, seeing what the employees are seeing and understanding the experience. Like we've learned along the way. Like we started, for example, our activation tables. We had like a bunch of pens on there, and so yeah, everybody can use a pen. But I'm like, we're at a game. Like let's try some giveaways where people can use them at the game. And so we introduced like the cowbells and the rally towels, and there was like so much demand for these giveaways. Like again, demand equals conversations, that we had to kind of not gatekeep, but figure out a different way to do the giveaway. So we introduced like a prize wheel. So you spin the wheel and basically everybody wins. But as they're spinning the wheel, it just kind of slows it down so we can have some conversations and make it a more interactive experience than just somebody coming up to the table and grabbing a pen. So if I had just, stayed in the office, these are things we wouldn't have learned. So I definitely think, and I'm not the only senior leader that has attended these events. Like we have other senior leaders that have attended as well. It's first of all, it's fun. And second of all, it's an opportunity for us to engage with our employees, but also with the community and learn from the events and just get better at it. One of the fun ideas we had this past season was, the famous Stanley Cups that everybody's working around with. Well, Stanley Cup, get it? Stanley Cup,
Oh.
Stanley Cup.
You.
Yeah, so we did some giveaways because those are expensive cups. Those cups run about, $40-$50. So we did some giveaways with our logo on the Stanley Cup and did a play on the Panthers Stanley Cup. So that was really fun. I have one of those with you. So they're no, and they're fun. So when you hear your cowbell all over the games, whether it's the soccer game or the Panthers game, it's really fun to hear them. And they walk away and they take them home because these are things you can take to other games. These are things you can take to your kids' little league games or to your kids' soccer games. So, and they walk away with our logo. So we're hoping that they don't donate those, right? We're hoping that they continue using them at other sporting events. So, well, I will share real quick. February, I attended an event where they had all of their sponsors sort of get together. And obviously they talk about the team and what's coming up with the team and so forth. But they did set aside time for the partners to kind of just sit down and talk about what we've done and what's worked for us and what hasn't worked. So on a different
the NHL is so professional. I had no idea they'd gotten this way.
They definitely they know what they're doing.
This is smart. Wow.
They are very smart team. Yep, I agree.
And I bet you if there was a sponsor who had been grumbling at him, that sponsor wasn't invited. But I bet you.
It was great for me to be able to sit down with brands like Amazon and BMW and kind of learn from them. Like, these guys, they have big pockets to be able to do stuff like this, but they understand, like, we have much smaller pockets, but they were very open to sharing ideas, which is nice because you're not sitting with competitors. You're sitting with people that they're not worried about, me being a competitor, and they're open to sharing ideas, which was really cool.
Before we go, think hard about how you can help support this podcast so we can do more interviews with more thoughtful leaders in the credit union world. What we're trying to figure out here in these podcasts is what's next for credit unions. What can they do to really, really, really make a difference in the financial scene? Can't all be mega banks, can it? It's my hope it won't all be mega banks. It'll always be a place for credit unions. That's what we're discussing here. So figure out how you can help. Get in touch with me. This is rjmcgarvey@gmail.com. Robert McGarvey. Again, that's rjmcgarvey@gmail.com. Get in touch. We'll figure out a way that you can help. We need your support. We want your support. We thank you for your support. The CU 2.0 podcast.